Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Faith Podcast. Hi again.
Good morning.
We just had a really great talk. And how is your Tuesday today? Today we record this on Tuesday.
My Tuesday's been incredible. It starts really early. Most of my Tuesdays, my work week.
Tell us about it.
Well, my work week is very disciplined. So like Mondays are my day. Tuesdays are a team day. Wednesdays are usually for prayer. And I do like afternoon counseling or youth or whatever. It's my late night.
Wednesdays we can have fun.
Yeah. And then Thursdays is outreach. So normally I work with our community outreach center teams and, do that. And then Fridays I move into teaching mode. And so Fridays and Saturdays I'm prepping. But yeah, my Tuesday's been pretty cool. Tuesday starts early. It starts at 6 a.m. I start meeting with guys or doing Bible studies or whatever. So yeah.
We're reading through Revelation as a church body right now. We have our, what do we call it? Daily reading.
Yes.
And it's really good. It's literally going through the whole Bible. It goes from the Old Testament and the New Testament, and we just keep rotating it.
But what's so good about that, I wish that people would get on board with this.
I know, it's actually...
It causes you to go through Scripture systematically in a way that you can't avoid it. Like you have to process the difficult things. Every year we're going through it. And I've done this for probably 15 years.
So
15,
good.
16 years, like over and over again, maybe even longer. I don't know. I mean, as long as I've been a Christian, essentially I've been on a daily reading plan where I just read a chapter of the old, chapter of the new, and then just go. And I read it and get new things out of it.
Literally every single time.
Yeah.
We're reading Revelation right now, and what around today's 6:15, 16. I don't remember. I read it though this morning.
I met with a leader this morning, so I didn't.
Awkward.
So awkward. No, I did read it in advance. I did read in advance yesterday.
Awkward.
I did read it. She's calling me out. No, I read in advance yesterday. Was it Revelation 15?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, yeah, it was.
Yeah, see.
He's ahead of it.
I read in advance yesterday because I wasn't sure if a meeting was going to happen.
Dang.
But, yeah.
It was really interesting today, but there's so many questions. But the cool thing about Revelation is the revelation of Jesus. So many people are like caught up in...
They think it's the revelation of Armageddon.
Things. Yes, and like the revelations and all these... It's like it's about him. It all points to him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we talk about today. Like it feels okay. Let me just say, I have 31 years and
31 long years.
31 long years. Yes. I would say 20 really long years. But it feels like right now, I'm sure every community, or generation says this. And I'm sure, like, there were those prophets that said Jesus is coming back, and now this is the year, Y2K, this is it, and then this is it. Oh, no, the Holocaust was it, or, like, all these different times. But I really feel like he's so close. Like, I feel like he's even tangible in our daily lives right now, so tangibly, and I know he's coming back, but... that feels very real. And I feel like this year has been, the current events too, but it's like the open door, and the king is in the field and he's accessible. But it feels like so like, oh my goodness, like serious. Like everything is not serious, like in a bad way, but in a good way. Very serious, like nothing else matters.
What do you mean the king is in the fields?
Ooh,
that is a good word.
Oh, access. The king is in the field. That's what the year meant. The month, I guess, meant this year. I think it was 3 months ago. The Hebrew calendar is like the significance meant the king is in the field. He's accessible. You can approach him easily. And then the next month was the doors. It's an open door. Similar. And it's just like this whole year is like access. You have access to him, his presence. He's easy access. And it makes me think of Boaz. It makes me think of, even though she was in the field, it like, when I hear the king is in the field, I think of that story personally. But easy access, there's mercy, and come. Like, I think we used to have, not that long ago, but we were having early morning worship prayer sessions with Seth, who goes to our church also and leads worship. And we couldn't get off certain verses. It was like, I forget now. Oh my gosh, I'm so sad. I forgot. But it was like so thick. It was like, the most important thing right now is that we have access to him. That's always the most important thing. But anyway, it just feels so like approachable.
I don't think that's something small to move past, though.
Yeah.
I think that people need to hear that.
Yeah.
The king is in the fields. That's huge.
It's like, lay aside all the other things, all your distractions, your weights.
Remember the story on the road to Emmaus where Jesus was walking with them and they didn't know it was him? You know, he's sometimes in disguise. You know, there's places where you don't think he'll be and he's there.
So good.
And your heart's burning and you say, what's going on? Well, you're walking with him. I love that word. The king is in the fields.
Yeah.
Just because he is very, very near and he's with us. Did you hear about, I don't know if it's fake news or not. It's so hard. I'm so skeptical.
Oh, I know. I don't believe anything.
I don't believe anything.
Like, either.
I listen to
what is it?
X, because X is only free speech platform anymore.
Twitter?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, no, just kidding. But did you hear 200 Palestinian men had a dream in the same night of Jesus? The same dream?
That's
crazy.
Cool. Wait.
Wild,
explain.
right?
When was this? And when?
Just last week. There were articles going out everywhere, and it's
I believe that.
So bad because certain people will post an article, and just because I know that they're extremists on one side or the other, I won't believe it. It's hard to believe it, but it was coming from multiple news sources that it could be fake.
But
I don't know.
Who would want to fake that?
I don't know.
And that's the best news
because
ever.
people are evil, and people want to. It's a propaganda war. We're in the Hunger Games, by the way. Just go watch the movie. I've watched the Hunger Games just recently, and I'm like, it is all propaganda. It's all shooting propos and gaining support, and you know, we're all fighting each other in the capitals.
But love.
But yeah. So, anyways, 200 Palestinian men had a dream one night, allegedly, of Jesus. If that's true, it reminds me a lot of what's happening. I think it's the Iranian church, or and saw that documentary Sheep Among Wolves, and they were it's not Iran, is it?
I don't remember. I've heard the story.
Afghanistan. It's in the Middle East, but they say that it's the fastest growing church, or second fastest growing church in the world. And what's happening is they evangelize. The people are already having encounters with Jesus. And so they're dreaming of him, and he's showing up. Before the evangelists come to present the good news, they say, I know him. He's already talked to me.
So good.
So when you talk about the king in the fields, he is walking with us.
Yeah.
This is real. I think we sometimes assume that we're like grazing the fields alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. He's like, I'm here.
Oh, I just got to figure it out. I got to make my life work. I got to survive. I got to eat. I got to make it through.
I'm literally right here.
You're not just making it through. You're not just surviving. Like, you're with him.
I think of his access. He was accessible to all of the people in the New Testament, the Samaritan woman at the well, the woman of the issue of blood, or anyone, the woman who wanted the crumbs only from the table. And she's like, even the dogs, get the crumbs. He was accessible to all these people, and the Good Samaritan story. And I just feel like, why not them? Why not them 200 men? Why not the enemy the enemy? I'm doing quotation marks. He said, what did he say? Love your enemy.
This thing has become so politicized. Yeah. It's crazy to me that
forgetting
loving your enemy is the Christian position.
Whoa. Ouch. Did you hear that?
And I'm not saying that I don't understand how people come to a place where they, I understand the pro-Israel Palestinian position. I see it all in depth. But as for me, my eyes are on Jesus. Mm-hmm. Jesus said, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. So I'm not sitting here championing.
I know, that's a hard word.
That's a hard word. Bombing war, kidnapping on any side. I'm not
Yeah.
sitting here going, yay, we're winning. No, if people are dying and going to hell, or maybe not, or whatever, or kids are suffering on any side, whether it's people kidnapped and taken hostage, or it's bombs being dropped, or whatever, like anyone who can stand and say, we're winning, like understand that there's no winning. Someone's losing. Like, and I hurt for humanity. Like when the body suffers, when I walk out the door and trip and skin my knee up, like my whole body feels it.
Whoa, yeah.
You know, it's a limb of my body, obviously, but it's not like, oh, okay, it just happened to the knee or happened to the foot and now I'm over it. No, your whole body hurts.
Dang. Yeah.
If you've ever, you know what I'm saying?
And
So like
they're
when I see
grafted
people
in.
dying,
Yeah.
It actually hurts me.
Yeah.
You know, like, do you hurt with humanity? Like, is it okay? Can we just stop there? Why is Jesus, I mean, he was bruised. He was beaten. He was hurting with humanity.
Yeah.
This
Like
is the season
not
of
just
incarnation. No,
believers.
yes, he died for the sins of the world.
Yeah.
He's hurting with humanity. All flesh, yes. And so it's not like, okay, well, some people are irreparable or irredeemable. There may be false religions. There may be demonic teachings. There may be actual demonic possession or antichrist spirits operating in religions. I understand all that. And there may also be spirits of pride in the church and all this other stuff. And my problem is that I think that sometimes we reduce ourselves to like mirror the culture of whatever we're reading and whatever we're looking at, and not mirroring the one who is calling us to heaven.
Okay. I was just talking with Clover. She does a lot of things at our church. If you know Clover, if you don't, she's great. But we are also roommates, and yeah, we were just chatting about this. And where I have my issue is like, I want heaven's answer, not just what the world is telling me how to respond.
Yeah.
I want to respond because he says love your enemy, which is hard for me. Like, I want justice for both
And
sides.
we have to be honest here, because if someone were to walk into my house, take my daughter hostage, rip her from my possession, you would see a fury coming from my life like you can't believe. And it would be like, I really don't care. I'm getting my girl back.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like there's this fatherly, righteous anger where you're whatever. And some of what we're seeing in the Middle East is triggered by a Holocaust of 6 million. If you think about this, imagine if Twitter existed in 1945. Cart after cart of trains being taken to Auschwitz, bodies of bones being taken in dump trucks, thrown into graves. If you think about what was like, some of this is triggering a response from centuries of suffering and violence. And now you could say like, oh, well, now this is happening to these other people, and on everybody's got a side. Everybody's I'm just saying, understanding, like, Jesus does say love your enemies for sure, and that's what I'm following. But I'll also understand. I understand the mindset, not only just of people from Israel, but I understand the mindset of Palestinians.
Oh yeah,
who have been raised in a home where they've been taught a certain thing for a long time, and they, and whether or not we believe what they believe or whatever. The reality is they feel oppressed.
Well, so what
I don't mean to cut you off, but I was just saying, because that's an important point. That's an important point to bring up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the conversation, it was like, I don't want to respond in the way that the world is responding. They're like, speak up. You're not saying enough. I'm like, stop. First of all, don't tell me how to respond to things.
No.
But that's the world. Of course, like, because I agree with you, I believe it's wrong. Like, death killing is like, I get all of it. I see all the sides. But there's got to be a way to love, or like, how was the kingdom, what it looked like? Like, cleaning up the person, the Samaritan story, and like taking care of somebody that's your enemy. And there's like answers that Jesus models that are like, okay, this is how you love them. And it says, what does he say like about the cheek? Like, he wasn't joking when he said that, take it on the other cheek. Like if he, what's that? I'm totally paraphrasing, but
I'm just going to let you go through it.
Yeah. It is what it is. But it's like, take it on the other side too, like let them like walk. What does he say? Walk further with them. Y'all gotta have to read the Bibles. You're gonna have to read the Bible.
Let me ask you. 5 years from now, you're married. You have a beautiful little life. You have maybe a condo you're living in by the beach. Things are good. Maybe not. Maybe you're in the woods. I don't know where. There you go. You're in the mountains. But you have this little house, and you've given birth to this little girl. And you have a husband. You have a family, and there's so much peace, so much love. You see the goodness. You've literally given birth to your daughter, seeing her grow up. Watching her live in peace. And then one day she's ripped from your possession.
Right. But there's the justice system.
How do you, 100%. So let me ask you this.
Yeah. But then
loving your enemy. Could you love someone who took her hostage and was abusing her?
So that's
I'm not getting
real.
into
I'm
not getting into propaganda of it, whether or not they're abused or whatever. I'm just saying.
Oh no.
Could you, as a human being, just human psychology? This is not political.
Yeah.
Human psychology.
Oof, it's really hard.
Someone rips your child. Out from your possession, or let's just say
any other scenario.
A sister that lives with you rips them out of your possession. How do you love that person?
Yeah, I know, but you know how they say
so hard.
Loving, like the first of all, there's so many things that go into this because there's like the darkness at play, the demonic and the darkness and the fallen, like sin, and the Bible says the war is not against flesh and blood. So there's that. But
the reality is your flesh and blood.
But also, yes,
your daughter's alone. She's 2.5 years old.
I know. This is so hard because it's like, of course, I think you need justice. You should always fight for that. You should be angry about that. I would be.
Would you let the justice system handle it if it wasn't being handled?
No, I mean, I would fight for it. But the thing is,
that's my point. It brings out like a human thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, that's for sure. Yes.
So I'm like such
on both sides.
Easily angered person about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what I guess still like, okay, I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to say hate, but dislike certain people in the world right now. Okay, I'll just say that. But do I agree with what they're doing? No. But did God tell me to forgive them? Yeah. And so the process of forgiving someone, even though you're like, this is wrong, like, okay, I forgive you, but none of this is okay.
Yeah, for sure. So
in our daily life, we have to do that with parents and pastors and leaders, and like, it's not okay. Or someone who abused you. Someone abused you, and it's like your abuser. I mean, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but the person who abused you, is it right what they did? No, but could God lead you into forgiving that person?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think He wants us to.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the tension of it right now.
Yeah.
Like, you got to figure, we're both sitting in the tension of it. Jesus says, love your enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And pray for those who persecute you.
Yes, it's so tension.
But the reality is, I lock the doors on my house.
Yeah.
And if somebody were to come into my house and try to hurt my family, you would get a different response. I'm not sure I'd be like, I'm going to pray for you as you take them.
Mm-mm.
No, what's going to happen? This instinct in me that like David fought the lion, fought the bear, saw Goliath. He said, who is this Philistine that comes against the armies of the living God? Like, and he went out to war alone. Like, for me, that instinct of shepherding the people.
Yeah.
It's very real to me.
I feel that.
And as a father.
Yeah.
A good dad. What a good dad. Could I call myself a good dad if I allowed my daughters to be, let's just say, like, we have a spare bedroom. And I'm a good dad.
I see it with you.
So I'm a good dad. I'm a good dad. I tell everybody I'm a good dad. Everybody believes I'm a good dad. It's out there. Everybody's talking about it. I'm a good dad. But yeah, we have a spare bedroom. We have 3 rooms. I put all my girls in one room. We got a spare room. And I allow a child molester to come live in that room. Well, why? Because I just love everybody. So I allow a child molester to come in this room. but I love them. But this is what you do. You accept. Is loving people accepting?
Oof, no.
You know what I mean? Is that,
No.
could I call myself a good dad if I allowed dangerous things that would hurt my children?
No, yeah, totally no.
No, right?
I think that's the thing about living in tension is like
I'm living in that tension because it's like, I want to love the world. Jesus died for the sins of the world.
But he disciplined the
He's
ones he
a
lives.
good father,
And
disciplines,
like,
yes.
Yeah. And like, I'm with you.
So would a good father lock the door?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so how do you feel about open borders?
Oh my God, you're hilarious.
Just kidding. We're not going to get into that. But my point
Don't
is,
get me started.
No, but so do
Don't
you understand
get me
this? Do you understand this? But here's the problem I get. So listen, here's the problem, is that we won't acknowledge that the tension exists. We'll get on platforms and we'll go rah 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 rah.
Yeah.
Let this, let that.
Have to.
We won't acknowledge that this tension exists.
Yeah.
Like Jesus said, love your enemies. But we are actually living in the freedom that was won through a revolutionary war that set us free from the tyranny of evil men.
I'm not going to talk about it.
Whatever. So you're right. But but then we're standing on land that was originally given us. That's what I'm saying. So here's your choice. Like, so can you?
That was it.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I fully get it. I understand that. I know.
It was like hot right here.
I know, but my point is this.
Yeah, it's tension.
There's tension and there's hypocrisy from everybody.
So much.
And the problem is like the ones that are like anti, let's just say.
So really extreme.
Extreme on one side or the other. I'm trying not to say keywords like America, Zion, Palestine. I'm trying not to say these key things.
We're in the kingdom.
So extremist views. It's I heard somebody say, I think it was another speaking pastor. So she said that when you go far enough right, you meet the same idiots that are on the left.
That's funny.
Yeah, I thought it was actually a good word.
It's messed up.
Yeah, but it's. You can't, the same people who buy in so heavily on every side end up, it's the same anger fueling. It's the same type of people, you know? And so like, I try to be as honest as possible about the tension that exists. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and
I
so
agree.
like, because I
live in tension. I love that word.
Yeah.
So it gives you, it's honest.
You're good. We're talking about the coming of Jesus, but this is all part of it.
I want to kind of come over to, the answer for the revelation of Jesus is what the world needs, because
there's no other solution.
There's literally the bridegroom king.
Yeah.
Like in Revelation, we see him, and we see him all through the Bible, but like that literally is the solution that he's coming, but like he is in his love, like his real love for people, and the how we see Jesus in the New Testament with all these people who are not grafted in, or they're like Gentiles. He grafted them in with his death and resurrection, and these Palestinian people are grafted into the new in the new covenant, whether Israel people or Israelites, I don't know what you call them, Jewish people, Israelites, or Christians want to believe it. It's true. They have been grafted in, and no wonder they're seeing visions. And hang on a second. Okay, so then there's this we were talking about this morning, Clover and I. It came to me just something simple, which we know, the story of Abraham having his first son, Ishmael, from Hagar. He, in his, I'm been chosen, I am God's people, I have to have, I'm supposed to have my son. Once he had Ishmael, it was like, once he had Isaac, they casted off Ishmael. I can't remember. I think it was afterwards. But him and his thinking is like, oh, I have my chosen, I have my son from my flesh, my blood.
Was it him? It was Sarah.
Sarah cast him out.
Sarah cast her out.
But he knew it. You know that he was like.
Well, that's fine. I agree with you. So just.
But okay, Sarah.
Sarah, yeah.
But what I was thinking was, that son is like literally the Gentiles being grafted in today. Like,
Yeah.
could the compassion of God to come meet Hagar in the wilderness and say, I see you. I'm here with you. Come back to Sarah. And she named God the God who sees me. And I feel like it was Sarah and Abraham's or Abram, I don't know who he was at that point,
Abraham.
but their intention to cast off this one that was not righteous, that was not of their blood. And God said, hang on a second, I'm bringing you back in, even in the old covenant. And so I was just seeing, like, how do we respond in this time when even Christians, Jewish, like, people, I'll just say Christians are so easy to say, like, people are just so quick to, like, have, I don't know how to explain it really, but they're just so quick to having answers.
Why?
And like, but God's answer is like, no, bring you in, and you're still gonna have an inheritance. It's gonna look different, but you're still gonna. He like still promised an inheritance for them.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. You can go Google it if you want online.
And
but this whole the battle that we see in the Middle East is a battle between two sons, two nations, two inheritances.
Yes.
And I understand how it gets so complex because it goes back to biblical roots.
Yes.
In whose land is it?
Right.
And
but it's just
Isaac
the compassion
was actually
of the Lord. I mean,
yeah. But what I'm saying is too, and just finish what I said. Isaac was almost sacrificed on Mount Moriah, which is the location of the Jerusalem temple.
Yes.
And they believe Muslims believe that that's where Muhammad ascended to heaven. It's the third most holy site in all of Islam. And so there's real like tension there. But like in this, I feel like Zechariah 12. I don't know if you know this, but like Israel, let me say it this way. Neither Israel or Palestine wins. Jesus wins. This is not about the victory of a nation. It's about the victory of a person and the God who is the one who's going to bring hope or going to establish heaven on earth. Zechariah 12, I will pour out on the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, whoever they may be, the spirit of grace, and they will look on me whom they have pierced, as one who looks upon and mourns for an only son, and they'll weep bitterly for him, like weeping for a firstborn. He said, on that day I'm going to stand in Jerusalem, and they're going to see me whom they've pierced. It's about the coming of Jesus. Like you see us, like the marriage supper of the Lamb will take place on earth. And heaven is going to be established in a city.
It started in a garden and it's ending in a city.
There you go. Yeah. But what's interesting to me is like we think like this is going to sound super, gosh, if I was to be fully seen for what I think that maybe not, I believe I don't want to be a coward right now. Say what I say.
Say it.
Let me just say it. So like in the end, biblically, if we're reading our Bibles, Israel doesn't win. Russia doesn't win. Ukraine doesn't win. America doesn't win.
It's not about that in the end.
In the end, Jesus wins.
Yeah.
And I think we forget because we get caught up and you say, well, I don't have a political spirit. You might. You might. If your first reaction to world news is where does it line up with me? If you see somebody I don't know, singing the national anthem and you can't appreciate the song because you think about their last post on Instagram. If you see somebody who's famous and they have a movie and you're like, I can't support them because understand Jesus sees past all that and still died for us. So like it's real easy to get caught up in a political spirit and it's like cancel culture and all this stuff and like you've got to choose a side. Well, maybe I don't have to choose a side. Maybe I choose Jesus.
He weeds through all of it.
The bridegroom. Can the bride actually be focused on the bridegroom? Or do we have other loves?
I think that's the part.
Other loyalties.
That's the king is in the field.
Yes.
There is literally everything else will be taken off. Like there's no other lover.
I get pulled into hundreds of directions, just like you. We all get pulled. Our attention gets pulled. It's offensive to find someone who really, really is just obsessed with loving Jesus.
Mm-hmm. It's like, we know.
We know. Yeah. Or
it's
like
a little extra.
Yeah, there's more. Like, but this, but that. No. I'm just actually focused on him. But Brad, you have to riot. You have to protest. You have to post.
Yes.
Or you have to do these certain things. Because why? Because I have to be like you?
Because I said so.
So pressure, fear of man is going to cause me to now change what I believe. And the church. So do you want me to behead the church? Do you want me to stop focusing on the head of the church, who is Christ? Like, do you want me to stop? Like, should the church not
fear of man, think about that. It's like worship of man and not worship of him.
100%. So like you talk about the bridegroom, like, can you imagine on your wedding day, all she's thinking about is the guests at the assembly. All she's thinking about is her makeup. All she's thinking about is who's going to be there. All she's thinking about is the photographer. All she's thinking about all these other things, and the bride's just thinking about the bride, or the bridegroom's just thinking about the bride.
Yeah.
Can I tell 30 seconds?
Yeah.
I haven't told this story, but when Shannon and I got married, number one, she was the most beautiful girl I had ever seen.
That's what's up.
I loved her so much.
So good.
But when she came down the aisle, I don't know. I still wrestle with it because I think she was glowing. I saw the glory of God on Shannon.
Wow, that's so good.
If you look at our wedding videos and pictures, like I'm a bawling mess. I'm weeping. And like all I can see is her. I was literally weeping.
So good.
I hadn't cried. It was like a spiritual crying. It wasn't like a weeping sad or more. It was, I'm weeping and I'm not a crier. You know me. Like you may not have ever seen me cry. Like I'm not a crier. But when she came down, the glory of God was on Shanna. She was the most beautiful person. And it was the most glorious moment ever. And I'm weeping and God was on her. Mm-hmm. It was a wild moment, but I could. The last thing I was thinking was, I wonder what everybody thinks of me. I wonder if I'm satisfying everyone's lust for war. Wondering if I'm satisfying everybody's who's in charge, who's got the leadership, who's got the authority, who's got the position, I didn't care. I was in love. Love had actually become a much stronger force than all the other stuff.
So good.
And my love for her and her love for me, hopefully, like in that moment, I heard a story. It might've been Bill Johnson, but he was talking about the wedding that happened in Israel. There was someone from their church who went, and when the war broke out, it was like October 8th or whatever. I'm going to mess up the date. But anyways, right near the time when the war broke out, they had a wedding planned in Israel, and they chose to still get married in the midst of the war. I thought that wild. Was pretty wild, right? I heard that story. I was going, I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Like maybe you cancel it, maybe you do something private, but to get married in the middle of the war, that's the coming of the bridegroom.
That's literally the picture.
That's the picture.
That's a good picture.
That's what you're talking about today.
Yeah, and I feel that's literally the picture. That's such a good picture. That's all that matters. And, when we come before Jesus, when we come before God, he's like, did I know you?
Yes.
Did I know you, though? Like,
he's not going to ask you.
I've protested. I've been to a few protests. I get it. Like it's like wild. Like you feel like you are doing something, but it's like
you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah, but you could be doing something. But what's the more important thing?
You feel like you're doing something.
I don't want to say that because you could be doing something. It could be shifted. You could signing bills could do it. Does
signing bills could change a few things
for sure. But the point, I guess, is like I did all these things for you. I even went to Africa and I did like all this cool stuff for you. I was a missionary in Mexico. And did you see how I did all these things? Like, he's like, yeah, but did you know me? Did I ever know you? Like that's the yada. The yada knowing him is like how a husband knows his wife. Yada means like to know someone personally, and not just I know you, but like I know you. Like a family knows one another, or like deep connection. Like, did I ever know you? Not just you came to church. Woo.
For sure.
You know, did you have intimacy with me is the real thing.
For sure. Like, you're not going to be able to fake a marriage.
Ooh.
You can't fake a covenant. You have to die into it. Yeah. And there has to be real intimacy, real contact, real relationship. Yeah. It's not forced relationship.
I think this is where the church needs.
Yes. And time. This is where, like, I don't get to rant like this on Sunday mornings, but man, understand that, like, I have my political beliefs. If you're offended by what I said over the last like 15 minutes, I'm not saying don't have beliefs, don't have strong convictions, don't stand for things in the earth. What I'm saying is it's secondary if you're a Christian to loving Jesus. And if ever that stuff takes priority over loving Jesus, we have to reassign it back where it belongs and love Jesus, because if it ever goes ahead of loving Jesus, that's where you become frustrated. That's where there's tension. So that's where you make a lot of mistakes.
How do you shift from a political or religious spirit and move into the kingdom? And okay, like in these end times, or how do you
that's a good question.
Or is it as easy as no, I'm not going to?
That's a great question if you're really asking. I would say, for me personally, it's not as easy as just shifting a mindset. I think it's a process.
Yeah.
I think it's gradual.
It's like a heart thing.
It's a heart thing. Like there's times like in I'll know, like, so the last 2 weeks I haven't been speaking.
Can you feel yourself functioning under can you feel yourself functioning?
Yeah, I can. That's what I'm saying. So like the last 2 weeks I haven't spoke on Sundays, and when I rest now, I rest.
That's good.
Like I'm fully resting. It takes me a few days to re-engage the level of spiritual intensity that I normally live with, that I've walked into this podcast with, that I walk into a Bible study with or a sermon with. It takes me a few days really to get myself there. I can't just snap my fingers and boom, I'm on fire. Boom, I'm passionate. Boom, I've got zeal. Boom, I'm bold. Like
pressing.
So like what I do is I begin a process of shutting things down.
Yeah. Ooh.
I stop responding so quickly to certain messages. I stop engaging my social feeds. I stop searching up the news sources. I stop zoning out and scrolling my phone or watching a certain thing. And I begin to take my time and I spend it with the Lord.
Yeah.
And I sit with him like this morning.
It changes everything.
And I say, after 3 days now, it's starting to come together. Lord, every single thing I'm doing right now, from high level stuff, I'm doing it because I believe you've led me here. And I don't want to do it without you.
So it's like the surrender.
And in fact, I'm not going to do it without you. I choose now to let it go. You need to get a call?
Sorry, no.
Going. Work stuff?
It's just, we are having a overdose training, overdose prevention training.
Figured I'd just ask you about it.
Sorry.
No, you're good. We're almost done. It's a surrendering.
Yeah.
It's a surrendering, and it takes time. People, they go to prayer. Some go to prayer, go to Bible study, or go to whatever, and things don't change instantly, and so they just leave and they keep their frustration.
Yeah.
I will press in and stay in until the fruit of the Spirit comes.
Ooh, that's what the hunger begetting hunger.
That's what I'm saying. So like, I won't let it rest until He rests on me. Until I feel Him make contact in my heart.
I feel like that's a good way to make decisions.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like I won't, like, if I screw up all the time, I make so many mistakes. We could have a whole series of podcasts on my mistakes, but maybe we need to talk about mistakes sometime.
I know we were trying last week also.
Yeah. But
that's good.
The one thing I just cannot do this without Him. And I will not do this without Him. I'm so determined to spend that time with Him. Like, this doesn't mean that every waking hour I'm spending in prayer. This just means that my heart is, like you had mentioned with the bridegroom, it's like, I'm not doing this alone.
Yeah.
And so until I'm in the presence of the King, I'm not going to let it rest. And so
He put it in you to do it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
He said.
He said no rest.
Yeah. He said, "Draw near to me, and I'll draw near to you." I take that promise seriously, and so I draw near until He comes. Until I won't speak on Sundays sometimes. Until I'll be up Saturday night and have nothing to say because He hasn't touched my sermon. Like until He touches the meeting, until He touches the vision.
Yeah.
Like we're not moving forward on our church vision without prayer nights on Wednesday.
Just worship.
Let's just go to prayer and wait until He touches the vision.
That's what we're going to do.
People are wanting plans that we haven't made yet because we take
it seriously.
We take getting God's fingerprints on the ministry seriously.
Yeah. I feel like that's the best thing to do is like, no, hang on. No, I'm not going to be rushed by the fear of man.
Yeah.
We're going to wait. And like, we're starting Wednesday night prayer because it's like, it's serious. We care about this. And it's always been our heart to do that. And like, we're going to worship until we know when we have answers. We're going to pray until we have answers. And it's not even to just get answers. That's the thing about seeking the bridegroom and seeking and worship is not just for answers. It's to see Him. It's to be with Him. It's that to be close and have His, like, be in His presence, and the answers come. I don't think we're trying to just get answers. We're like, we're going to be with you and answers will come.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is so good. We
got into a lot that you probably didn't think
we
did too.
Okay. It was great. All right, I can't wait for next time. That's how I made.
That's your ending? That's your ending? All right. See you guys. Have a good day.
I decided I'm not doing an outro. Bye.
I'm leaving that in.
That's good. You should.
What?
That's good.
That's it.
Got it?